Okay, hello everyone. Time to review the other two units. We got lots to talk about today, so let's get right into it. So, we talked about Summer Lilith, now it's time to talk about Summer Ketone, and this is a unit that I just don't know how I'm going to evaluate. Not because evaluation is impossible, but because this unit is, well, I just don't know where I put her. Because fire has proven itself in the last few weeks to be a very strong element, an element that I think is incredibly noteworthy and possibly worth being feared. However, it's been a while since Summer Ketone has been relevant in the game. You just don't see her that often, so it's kind of hard to gather data. A lot of the times when evaluating units, it's really about how many times I see them and whether or not I think that they can actually compete against other units. And if I don't see them that often, it's really hard to think whether or not they have a future. So, Summer Ketone. Do I think she has a future? Probably. I mean, essentially she has Glassy now as a partner, as well as Rain for Fire Magic. So Fire Magic has a way better foothold than it used to. When she came out, there essentially wasn't really too much support for her. And while a lot of people ended up thinking that, maybe the sleep status effect or something would be really relevant, I don't think it has. But I think that the fact that King Mont, as well as you look at King Mont, you look at Fire Glassy, you look at Rain's EX. There's enough now, and I've seen success in Fire teams. So let's just take a look. And first of all, speaking of which, I did essentially look at her stats compared to upgraded Glassy in terms of magic and everything. She doesn't come as close as I necessarily thought she would have. Summer Glassy comes out on top as she should. She's 100 EX. She's way, she's, just a 100 cost unit, so therefore she is more powerful. And I think that, has better status effects too. But let's get into Summer Ketone's upgrades because I'm just piddling away time. So first of all, her counter. This is a big part of her upgrade because essentially before she had a chance to counter all damage and reduce the amount taken. Well, it's essentially been upgraded to have a higher chance to proc. From before it used to be 10 to 20%, now it's 20% to 30%. So you have roughly, let's say about a fourth of the time now that it's going to be happening. And a 30% reduction, somewhere between a 10 to 30% reduction. I don't know, mages aren't exactly the tankiest thing, so getting a chance to reduce the damage is good, but there are so many good offensive characters now that can dish out a ton of damage that I don't know if this is really enough to keep her alive. Sure, she has an EX increase, but she's not Summer Lilith, let's put it that way. Summer Lilith, who's a much more defensive character, a much tankier character, and nothing in this unit's kit is like really that tanky. You have Rune Knight and you have Ninja. They have potential for survivability either through evasion or with Rune Knight, she has like potential healing if she has the drain attack, but she really isn't that kind of a tanky character that she may be able to even really survive an onslaught. So this counter upgrade, I would have much rather seen a support skill get increased with more defense penetration or something like that. Or, sorry, forgot, magic character. Mental penetration would have been better. Taking a look at her other upgrades too, I'm just not, for less word, overly impressed. Her buff, which was centered around herself, going to the units to front, back, left, and right. Increase magic attack by 25 for 3 turns to allies, and spirit penetration by 20. Both of those stay the same, except now she also gets a slash resistance by 25% for 3 turns to allies. Okay, I mean, that's nice. I mean, that's great if you're fighting against slash units. If you're against pierce units, which, hey, we have Oberyn now, who's a strong contender for a DPS. or you have like, fist units like Tifa. You have a lot. You have like water slash, but you also have like water spear with glassy. There's a lot of different types of damage that this just doesn't upgrade. So while it is a nice thing, it just doesn't feel like it was upgraded that much. And her last ability into her, getting her up to maxed job level 25, 165% modifier, increase slash attack by 40 for 3 turns to targets, decrease slash attack by 40 for 3 turns to targets, decrease magic attack by 40 for 3 turns to targets. I get it. Like, decreasing slash and decreasing magic, those are the two most popular damage types, but it really does leave you open to just other types of damage. And really, is it good enough to be good? I just don't know. There are so many AoEs in other damage types and everything like that. I'm not saying that Summer Kitone is bad. Summer Kitone still has a very strong limit burst that can inflict sleep. She has still pretty good damage abilities, and with the extra stats, she will be more in line with what is currently meta. I just feel, however, though, that her upgrades don't feel really all that amazing. It feels like she's essentially getting, more survivability and more support skills when she was kind of feeling like a DPS before. Kind of balances her out, but it doesn't really feel like it does enough to be overly support orientated. I don't know. I might be totally off the mark on this one, and just because she's in the fire element with other strong fire characters, especially fire magic characters now, it may not matter, but it doesn't feel really exciting, and I feel like there's a lot of blind spots in her kit that she's not helping with. For instance, she increases her magic attack or magic resistance for rain, making rain even tankier against mages and against sword. But again, there's other types of damage out there, and you can choose what team you're playing against, but not always do you know. So if it's a surprise, and then there's spears, I just don't. I'm not convinced about Summer Kitone. Moving on. And speaking of moving on, we're going to be talking about our new unit, Summer Kilphe, Kilphe. And I think I've said every type of pronunciation that there freaking is. So one of them maybe made you happy, but maybe all of them made you angry. And I'm proud to have done it. Anyway, let's take a look at this character. So brand new job, which I just pray that it's something like Battle Axe or Axe Wielding Woman or something weird like that when it's announced on Global. That just sounds awesome too. Secondary job, Soldier and Thief. And this current build, just to note, first of all, she is running an aim and a defense penetration increase, as well as the major attack increase, which is why her attack is so high. She's not running Thief lore, so her agility can be higher than this. But as you can see, you can take a look at her spirit, look at her defense, and taking a look at what equipment she has here, you can see that this is going to be affecting her for her missile resistance, and her TMR is also giving her some extra spirit. So that kind of gives you an idea of where most of her stats are coming from. And here are her resistances. So while we're talking about that, I'm going to be talking about generally what I think of her kit. First of all, Thief. Notable thing, she does have steal time in it. She does have an increased evasion for herself. She can inflict confusion, and she can steal. All of those, and decrease accuracy too. So she has all the things I think that are good in Thief. Great. All right, moving on. Next up, Soldier. I like the things that are in her Thief. Soldier. Absorb TP, she consumes HP, she can deal damage and paralyze, she can consume her HP for a big attack, deal damage, inflict doom. She has no Drain Force, for anyone who was hoping that Drain Force would be here. Sorry to tell you, it is not to be. Soldier, I think, is probably the weakest part in her kit, and I cannot see myself running it. I think you're essentially getting Soldier for the attack up passive to just make her stronger. And then we get into her main job, and her main job, thankfully, is the best by a considerable margin. Alright, so getting her up to job level 25 will give her access to her main ability, and I think this ability is considerably just very, very strong. This one Increased defense penetration by 40 for herself, and a 200% modifier, absorbs 40% of the damage done. A little bit of self-sustain here that I think is really nice. She can break physical barriers on enemies, which is great. It's on that one. Doesn't have high range, but if there is a physical barrier, she can take it out and get rid of it. She can increase accuracy for herself and slash resistance penetration by 30 for herself, which is very good. Taking a look, she can inflict frostbite on an AoE, which frostbite previously, for anyone who doesn't know, frostbite is essentially AP regeneration cut. The units cannot generate AP, and they lose AP over turn, so it's very, very strong status effect, and I'm going to talk about more of it later. It's only a 25% chance, and that is important to note. She can increase attack for herself, allies by 40% for 3 turns, and spirit for herself and allies for 3 turns, so good against other mages. And she can inflict slow. Her upgrades to certain abilities give her attack and spirit increase for herself and allies. Also a magic resistance increase by 20%. And her frostbite ability does gain a 100% chance to regen HP for 3 turns for self, which she does have a good amount of HP, so I think that is pretty nice. In the sub part of her kit, she has a debuff that can hit AoE in the plus version for 40% for 3 turns to targets, and she can deal damage. Losing the sub part of her kit does not feel like any kind of a problem, and I feel like you can just pass directly over it and go run Thief and get the benefits from that and choose what abilities you want. But that's kind of the way I think I would be running her, just because her main job is good enough, and I don't think Soldier is really good enough because it's just kind of feels a little bit old at this point in that class, and it just doesn't feel like it performs as well as something like Thief, which can at least do a few other things that are beneficial. But yeah, taking a look at Kilphe, her counter also, she has the Thief and the Soldier counter, which are common at this point, but her new counter, chance to counter all damage by reducing damage taken by 30%. I mean, it's good enough. It's essentially Summer Ketone before Summer Ketone got upgraded. And yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's exciting. I don't think it's going to be like amazing or going to change the tide of battle, but it makes more of a difference here on a tankier unit like Kilphe, who can really survive against mages and has a chance to, you know, at least a little bit of a chance to survive against physical units too. I think that damage reduction does count, and she has a high enough HP that, you know, it just matters. Taking a look at her supports, the only interesting one, she only has 1 from her new class, which is an increase of accuracy and defense penetration by 40, which is pretty good. You include that with her other one, you know, with her other getting around slash resistance and whatnot. She's going to be a very efficient damage dealer, and that brings me to like the summary of her. She is a very good physical unit that is good against mages. She has a lot more focus going up against mages than she does against physical units. But taking a look at the current build that I see here, which is probably more offensive, and you could probably go more to a defensive side, she has problems. She has problems against Strike, and the big problem against Strike, there is a brand new Fist Dark unit that you can get off the selection quest on the JP side that is essentially, you know, potentially a fair number of places, and Dark is a strong element, so that is scary. Dark shooting is also going to be a problem for her, and we could be seeing a dark shooting unit in the near future from the Hinder Nation, the Double Gunner lady. So that is a possibility as well. But Dark Spear, it could be that Kane gets his EX in the near future, and then he could pose a problem for this unit as well. I think that while Summer Kilphe has a really nice kit, and I think she's very strong, and I think she will do very well into the future, I do question her against other physical units. She really doesn't have much in the way of protection against physical, and there are very strong physical units. A lot of people will look at this unit and think, wow, this is going to be great against Black Robe, Witch, Black Robe, Witch, Witch, Black Robe, Witch, Black Robe, Witch, Black Robe, Robe, Witch, Witch, Witch is Witch, Helena. Yeah, I'm committing to the bit at this point. Um, sorry. Anyway, getting back to it, I think that a lot of people are going to be really interested in that matchup and just forget the fact that Ramir is far more common with a Duan and Stern combo right now, which is incredibly physical, which would, I feel, pretty hard counter this unit. Although Ramega is, the Dark Fist unit is potentially as well common, since most whales will probably have him and have him maxed. So Summer Lilith is strong, and I think she can hold her own in a lot of good battles. I think she is a good investment for a lot of different reasons. Frostbite is very good. She's very fast. She has decent mobility, or really good mobility compared to other units. It's just her durability against physical, and the fact that she's going up against the strongest element directly, where she does have a disadvantage against that element, is very dangerous. So it's with her, it does feel kill or be killed with physical, and physical is a lot of places right now. It's not just magic. So effective, incredibly effective against magic, not so much against the other one. Or the physical damage, which there are a lot of physical, which I've already said. But taking a look at the last piece of the puzzle, the limit burst here, which enjoy. Decrease light resistance by 38% for 3 turns to the target. I do believe it is a single target as well. Yes, it is. And a the usual modifier, 43 AP. All right, this unit is just great for light comps. Pure mono elemental light comps are going to love her, and challenge content where light is useful is going to love her as well. Alright, so let's just recap for a second. First of all, Summer Ketone. I honestly think that she is the weakest of all 4 units we've seen today, just because her kit, while I think it's solid and she's in a good element and she has plenty of support with other fire units now, unlike I felt probably a year ago, I think that there really isn't enough in her kit to make her super exciting or super amazing. But I do think she will be perfectly good, which is why I'm giving her a B+. Don't be mad. B+ is a great score. You passed, kind of thing. But in all honesty, I feel like her kit's in terms of the upgrades, just doesn't feel really that exciting, and it kind of doesn't do what she probably wants to do. So there you go. And as for Summer Kilphe, she is, I think, just a really good investment. If you wanted to go with Light Slash, if you love the light element, she's an amazing addition to the light element. She can go toe-to-toe with mages, probably pretty reliably, I would imagine, but she has some really big blind spots that could end up getting her killed. I'm not saying that she's a glass cannon by any means, but I'm not saying that she, in a physical fight, that she wouldn't maybe lose, which kind of makes sense. She's in a swimsuit, not battle armor. Remember, kids, or parent, well, okay, let's break this up. Remember, kids, don't wear a swimsuit to a frickin' war. And as for the parents, don't let your kids wear swimsuits to war. This message is totally irrelevant, I think. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the units. Do you think I misspoke? Obviously, as I've seen the units flying around and see what's more popular and get to fight against them, because I don't have any of the 4 units that I've covered in the last 2 videos. We'll see what's happening in the future, but there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.